Look, I don't think having Lucky around as a husband and father is going to hurt Luann's chances to become an astronaut or a brain surgeon. We just need to make the best of a bad situation and help those two get married.
Hey, hello, how do you do? Shady Doorags here. As we all know, John Redcorn is objectively the most detestable character in King of the Hill.
That's so fair.
But even though my opinion on this is 100% true and anyone who disagrees with me is a filthy uneducated plebeian, a lot of you intellectuals still believe that someone else deserved the title. In fact, I did a poll to see who you guys hated most to kind of gauge who I should make a video on next, and without a doubt, the number one scumbag who pretty much everyone agrees is the worst in the show is Nancy Gribble. But she wasn't an option on the poll, so I'm doing a Peggy Hill video instead. Now, as I mentioned in previous videos, I don't share the same hatred that the general fandom does when it comes to Peggy. Not that she hasn't done some horrible things, just that I personally tend to find her antics more charming than I do annoying. But that doesn't mean I like literally everything Peggy does. There are moments and even entire episodes where she gets under my skin. And I thought it'd be fun, and profitable, to talk about the episode where Peggy ticks me off the most, Edumacatin' Lucky. But before we get into it, let's remind you all of a few lore points of King of the Hill. That's right, remind, because you definitely didn't click on this video without having seen the show, right? In King of the Hill, there's a character named Luann Platter, Peggy's niece. Luann had a pretty bad home life, and due to that has been living with the Hills as basically an adopted daughter, even though she's college age. During the later seasons of the show, Luann began dating a man named Elroy No, whom everyone calls Lucky.
Yeah, Lucky. Why they call you Lucky?
True story. I was at Costco one day and all of a sudden the nature called. And don't you know I slipped on pee-pee and broke two vertebrae which had to be fused together? By God, I got me a $53,000 settlement.
Lucky is the stereotypical hillbilly, because King of the Hill loves its stereotypes. He doesn't really work or have any responsibilities, but thanks to his settlement, he can get by pretty easily, at least until it runs out. So basically, Niece of the Hills is dating a Neat. You got all that? Good, let's get to the episode. The episode starts with Peggy and Hank waking up in the morning when Peggy runs into Lucky.
Morning, Aunt Peggy.
Go home.
This first scene is used to establish three details, all of which will be important throughout the episode. 1. Peggy and Hank are not the biggest fans of Lucky. Naturally, they both value hard work, so an individual like Lucky wouldn't be very appealing to them. 2. Luann and Lucky are very much in love. And 3. Lucky's code of honor.
It'd be against my code of honor to borrow something and not pay it back.
See, Lucky has a lot of unlikable qualities. He's an idiot and unaware of how his actions affect others. But he's not evil. Sure, he has moments where he does things he shouldn't, but compare him to Buck or Redcorn, and at least you can tell he's trying. Now, the main conflict in the first minute or two of the episode seems to be that Lucky is always around, and given the kind of person he is, that's having a negative effect on the Hills.
I am going to snap, Hank. Lucky never leaves.
And whenever I come home, the TV's always set to the game show network. I don't even know why it bothers me so much, but it does.
But it's actually just a spark. The real problem is Peggy's biggest gripe against Lucky, that she feels he's holding Luann back.
I can't believe that Luann is throwing her life away.
I don't know. There's something about that one tooth of his that's kind of sexy.
Woman, how many pretzels did you eat to become this thirsty? All right, we're about at the 3-minute mark, so it's time for the plot to get rolling.
I've been thinking about getting my GED. I was just wondering if you could, tutor me.
Yeah, I'll see if my schedule permits. If Hank knew you touched his underpants, he'd put you through a wall.
Nah, the joke is too easy. Comedy such as this must be earned. Peggy is reluctant to teach Lucky since she can barely stand to be around him, but as Hank points out, Lucky wanting to get his GED is a good thing.
Well, Lucky wants to earn his GED. You gotta hand it to a guy who wants to better himself.
A lot of times, the show makes Hank the voice of reason, which I am very happy with because he's essentially my morals if they sold propane and propane accessories. It's fine to not like certain aspects about someone, or even not like them in general, but why would you not be accepting when that person wants to improve themselves? So Peggy begins teaching Lucky, and to her surprise, he's actually a good student. He takes the class seriously and is getting most of the concepts. Hank sees this as a good thing, assuring Peggy that Lucky will be able to get a job. Peggy gets excited, but mainly because Lucky having a job potentially means he'll stop dating Luann. To Peggy's surprise, however, Lucky reveals the real reason he wants a GED.
In my family, we live by a code. That's why I want to get my GED.
And once you get that, You'll be able to get a job anywhere.
Getting my high school degree is just a little personal milestone I have to pass. Once I get that, I'll be good enough.
Good enough for what?
Good enough to ask Luann to marry me.
And the bomb drops. Lucky getting a GED won't push him away from being in Luann's life. It'll solidify him being there forever. From Peggy's perspective, this is an absolute nightmare. Not only will Lucky marry her niece, probably making her life worse, but Peggy is the key to making it all happen. So Peggy goes to talk to Hank about all this, but Hank doesn't seem fazed.
I know you don't think much of Lucky, but to tell you the truth, he's a lot better than some of the guys she's dated.
Hank is trying to be optimistic about the situation and see the positive in it. Peggy, however, has been negative from the start.
Maybe Lucky won't even pass the test. Oh, of course he'll pass the test. These things are designed so that even a high school dropout can pass them.
And now, a poem. It is important that you know that King of the Hill is a funny show, for ere you will gasp from getting so many laughs. While venting to Hank, Peggy throws out the idea that she could teach Lucky the wrong information to make sure he fails, but both of them immediately dismiss that plan. And that would have been the end of that ludicrous idea had the next scene not happened.
Oh, baby doll, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, I like cleaning stuff for you.
Peggy sees Luann cleaning Lucky's truck and fears that this is but a taste of the life her niece will have should she marry him. Of course, Peggy never stops to wonder if Luann will be happy in this life, which in all her fantasies Luann does seem to be. With this revelation, Peggy decides to do the despicable and unthinkable.
Did you know that any number multiplied by itself is 0?
Yep, she intentionally teaches Lucky the wrong information. It's this act right here that really got under my skin more than anything else Peggy has ever done in the show, and it's important that you know why, random person on the internet watching this video. Personally, I don't much like people. Most of them annoy me, but when I see someone doing their best to better themselves, I always try to be supportive of them. Mentally, not physically, because that would require talking to them. So when I see Peggy not only being unsupportive of Lucky and Luann's decisions, but actively sabotaging them when they trusted her, it set something off in me. Armed with the wrong information Peggy taught him, Lucky goes to take his GED exam and...
I failed. I don't understand.
Well, that's probably why you failed.
No, I'm mad at you.
Well, at least you tried, Lucky. For a lot of coaches these days, that would be enough.
Oh my goodness, Hills, can y'all chill for like 5 seconds? I'm trying to review what's happening and I can't with y'all's commentary. So it looks like Peggy's plan worked flawlessly. Lucky won't ask Luann to marry him and therefore she'll be able to reach her full potential.
I'm pregnant.
And just like Nagasaki, the second bomb drops.
Now we could start a family and get married.
I'll start a family with you, Luann. Even shack up with you. But I made a promise. Without my GED, I ain't good enough to marry you.
Well, that sucks. They can't get married until he retakes his exam.
I'm gonna be sick.
That's a bit much. The wedding's just gonna have to wait until after he retakes the exam.
Oh, God. I've let us all down.
Do they not realize he can retake the exam? Okay, just gotta pretend that plot hole doesn't exist.
What do you mean you can't marry me?
Yeah, what do you mean you can't marry her?
Oof, you can feel the anger coming off of Hank. You're talking about having kids around a conservative family? Marriage is no longer optional. Now, some of you might be wondering what the problem is. Lucky said he'd start a family with her, so Luann isn't going to be alone. Isn't he essentially marrying her? What's the big deal of actually getting the certificate? Well, I was saving this speech for an Agretzko video, but I guess I can use it here. Despite times in the media being massively liberal in promoting single-parent lives, there are still plenty of people who find value in the traditional family unit. And with marriage, that family unit is binding. You are declaring openly for the world to hear that you and someone else are going to work together for the benefit of the whole. Not only do you lawfully have to take care of each other, but as previously stated, to conservatives like Hank and Peggy, it's something you're supposed to do if kids are involved. Otherwise, you're bailing out on your responsibilities, even if you don't physically leave. Peggy still doesn't want Luann to marry Lucky, but she holds the same conservative values as Hank in this situation. She tries to talk to Hank into accepting Lucky's choice.
Well, maybe Lucky has a point. Well, I know it's not how we did it, but plenty of people have kids without being married these days.
But even she doesn't believe the words coming from her mouth. Really, she's just trying to justify her actions to herself since this predicament is largely her fault. So Hank and Peggy go to their respective gender groups who both agree that Lucky not marrying Luann is a scummy thing to do.
Lucky won't marry Luann. It's got something to do with his weird code of honor.
And you bought that?
There are plenty other fish in the sea. Fish with jobs. Fish who won't bail when they knock you up.
You tried to tutor that boy, but there's just some things a monkey cannot learn.
I mean, I can forgive Dale, but the rest of you are a little too chummy with John Redcorn to be so judgmental like this. Especially you, Nancy.
But I don't want another fish. I want Lucky. Even though Lucky is his name, I always considered myself to be the lucky one.
It's here that the guilt becomes too much for Peggy. She realizes now that in trying to help Luann reach her full potential, she sabotaged her chance of being happy, and she needs to fix that.
But all I really want is for her to be happy. I want you to marry Luann. I intentionally made you fail that test.
You did what?
Yeah, I was wrong. I get it.
Is that it? All the damage she's done and she gets no punishment for it. How is that?
I don't believe you. Your code of honor wouldn't allow it.
Code of honor? I don't have a code of honor. Who has a code of honor?
I have a code of honor.
I have a code of honor.
I wish there was some way around this, but there ain't.
Yeah, if only you could retake the test after a 60-day waiting period. If only that was a possibility that existed. So let's brush past the ending here. Lucky lets the Hills know that the only way he could marry Luann at this point, because retaking the test isn't a feasible concept, is if they threaten him at gunpoint and beat him up. So Hank threatens him at gunpoint and Peggy beats him up. But they're nice about it. And that was Educate and Lucky. Now, obviously, Peggy has done worse. In fact, even though what she clearly did here was wrong, you could at least make the argument that she had good intentions. I just don't find sabotaging someone who trusts you and helping better their life as entertaining as I do to find it scummy. And it certainly doesn't help that Peggy receives no punishment for what she does and gets to kick Lucky in the stomach. Really, when someone you loved is making a decision you might not think is the best, you should make your feelings clear that you disapprove, but also try your best to make good of a bad situation. In the end, I'm not going to hate Peggy as much as John Redcorn, but this episode was certainly a moment where she lived up to the infamy that everyone else tends to give her. This has been Shady Doorags. So long, farewell, Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye.